back to another video. I hope you all have been doing well. I kind of have to be a little quiet because people are still sleeping right now, so hopefully you can hear me okay. But I wanted to do another Q&A video, just answering a few of your questions so that way you can get to know me better, because a lot of the times in my videos I'm kind of just sitting in front of you stressed out and studying all the time, so I thought it would be a nice little twist today. I wrote a lot of your questions down here, and I also kind of color-coded it so we can go in different categories and stuff. So anything that I'm using today, I'm going to be linking it down in the description box in case you're curious. But yeah, let me just prime my face first. I hope you all are having a wonderful day so far. Today is Sunday, and I'm just going to be filming a couple videos today. I'm getting a few things done, kind of giving myself some time to relax because my first week of school was pretty rough. It was just really busy, so it's kind of nice to get some time to sit down and chill and just kind of chat with you. First question is, what camera do you use and how do you edit your videos? The camera that I use for everything is the Canon G7X Mark II. It's like a little point and shoot camera, and then I also like to film stuff on my iPhone XS sometimes when I'm like out and about, because the camera on that is also really good. I just like that it's small and I can take it everywhere. So the audio is okay. Sometimes it gets a little echoey, so I use a Blue Rode mic. I'll do my audio like separately, and then I'll link the video and the audio together when I edit. I edit with Final Cut Pro. When I first started, I actually used Windows Movie Maker like way back. Next questions kind of have to do with like productivity and time management, so let's jump right in. How do you manage uni and YouTube? For those of you who don't know, I'm enrolled in school full-time. This semester I'm taking 17 credits. I'm doing student teaching for the full year, so my schedule is, pretty packed. I do get weekends off now, which is really, really nice, so I usually use that time to like film, edit. I usually try to squeeze in like a little bit of time each day to work on stuff, so that way I'm not piling it all in one day, because I get burnt out easily, so I can't really cram everything into one day like I used to anymore. And I try not to like stress myself out about it too much, because really like this is for fun for me and I really enjoy doing it, so it doesn't feel like work. It kind of feels like a reward and a nice break from school. What do you do when you're not productive at all? I usually like binge watch shows or something, and I'll lay in bed for like hours. I just finished watching Jane the Virgin. I love Gina Rodriguez, so it was a good show. I feel like it's just some parts I had to like skip around. I also really love watching Superstore. I think that show's hilarious, and then I also love watching MasterChef a lot. Anyways, moving on. What are you currently studying in school? Right now, I am studying elementary education and child development. I'll be getting my undergrad degree with a teaching credential, so that way I can go into the classroom and become a teacher. How do you keep yourself motivated studying and life in general? What do you do when you're stressed out? A lot of the things that I do now, I feel like I have like a reason to why I do the things that I do, or a reason why I'm studying what I'm studying. Like I have like a bigger picture in mind. I also think about my family a lot. I'm very, very family oriented. With that, like I always think about my younger sisters and how I want to give back to my parents, because they worked really hard to help me get here. One day I hope that I can provide for my family. My parents are immigrants, so when they came over here, they worked really hard to, give my sisters and I the best life possible, and I could never take that for granted. Sorry, I'm like choking up because every time I talk about my family, I just get choked up. I care so much about them. They are like my everything. Same with like my friends and my loved ones. I work hard because I know they're kind of like counting on me almost, and that usually helps me stay motivated with anything that I do. When I'm stressed out, I usually just try to allow my body to like chill and I put my stuff away. I clean when I'm stressed. I like to listen to music, go outside more often. I don't run as much as I used to, but when I do go run, it relieves a lot of stress, or even going to take a dance class is also one of my big stress relievers. I feel like when you get your body like physical and you just take it all out, it feels really, really good. So I love to do that as well. I feel like I can't talk and do my makeup at the same time. This is not one of my talents. Next question is, how did you get into cooking? I got into cooking at a pretty young age, and it was because my mom had moved away. My parents are divorced. So when she moved away out of state, it was just me, my grandpa, my dad, and my sister at the time. My grandma had also moved away. I was so like fed up with it one time. I was like, oh my gosh, like I miss my mom's food so much. Why don't I just learn how to make it, you know? So the first thing I learned how to make was pho, and I watched this YouTube tutorial. I had just gotten my license or something, and I went to the Vietnamese store, grabbed whatever I could, and came back home and surprised my dad with pho, because that's one of his favorite dishes. I made it, and from there, like, I really started to enjoy it. Because I didn't really have anybody to really teach me how to make, like, the food that I liked to eat, I kind of just learned how to do it on my own using like online resources like YouTube and all that stuff. And my hand's like shaking because I had coffee this morning and it's like really hitting me. I'm trying a new coffee today. Next question is, how do you learn to love yourself? How did you become confident without makeup? For me, it took me a really long time, and I'm still going through the motions of trying to love myself and accept myself for who I am. I'm really hard on myself on a lot of things, and it used to be much, much worse, and now it's just starting to get a little better. And I think it honestly comes with time. Also, just kind of realizing that, you know, I'm kind of stuck with myself, so if I don't like something about myself, I'm gonna try to change it. Or thinking about like how I talk to myself is really important too. One of my professors during my summer class talked to us about like how important it is for us to not self-destruct, especially in the classroom. So for instance, like you're writing on the board or something and all of that. It was like this whole conversation. Basically, she was saying like the way you talk to yourself in front of the classroom, it can really have an impact on the kids that you're teaching, because it can influence the way that they think about themselves if you're being self-destructive. For me, I really took that to heart because there's a lot of things, like I've been really mean to myself for a very long time, and it wasn't until I realized my mindset and the things that I would say to myself, I would never say to someone that I loved, or I would never say this to my younger sister or something like that. So why would I say it to myself, you know? And I feel like it's an ongoing process. If I'm thinking negative one day, I try to ask myself, is this something that I would say to someone that I loved? Is this something that's okay to say to myself? And then if it's not okay, then I try to just shift my mindset a little bit and think like, well, maybe there's a reason why I think this way, and maybe there's a deeper problem to why I'm being so negative with myself. If you want to get over this challenge or this hump, I feel like you have to practice it and take one day at a time. You know, it's never gonna be perfect. Like we all have something about ourselves that we really just don't like. La, 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 la. Your favorite songs at the moment? Ooh, first song I really like right now is by Kiana Lede, I think. It's called Show Love. I love that song. It just kind of puts me into like a soothing mood. And one of my favorite artists is Beyonce. I love Beyonce so much. I literally know like the words to all of her songs. Any album of hers I really, really enjoy. I've been getting more into like French music and stuff, which is really exciting. So I've been listening to Edith Piaf for a couple of months now, and I love all of her work. Can you talk about growing up Asian and dealing with racism? This may be a question that may have to be like an entire video on its own. The only reason why I'm like hesitant to make a video about it is because there's so many different factors. I have a lot of thoughts about it. It'll be good for like its own separate video, but to kind of put it in like a shortened paraphrase, I remember when I was little, there would be times when I would be like almost embarrassed to speak Vietnamese in public. And I remember there was one time, there was this kid or whatever, and he was like making fun of my eyes and how small they were, or I would have kids that would make fun of me for speaking Vietnamese, like after I would get off the bus and my grandpa would come pick me up. I had like instances like that. Or even little things like what I would bring to lunch, and there would be a lot of lunch shaming, so I would always like hide my food under the table. You know, what I brought to school was different from a typical peanut butter jelly sandwich. You know, I would bring rice and chicken that my mom would make, and I would have chopsticks and all this stuff. It kind of scarred me a little bit because it wasn't until I got to high school where I like stopped caring, because really I loved packing my lunch. I still love packing my lunch. I grew up speaking Vietnamese fluently, and I still speak it pretty fluently. That's something that's really important to me, and I want to make sure that I keep like practicing that, because I want my future children to be able to understand their grandparents and stuff like that. The way Asians and like Asian Americans are represented in different industries is really interesting to me. Maybe we can dabble on that like in another video. But I think it's so interesting to hear about how people resonate certain like different representations in each industry, if that makes sense. Like for instance, in the film industry, I wonder how people feel, or if people see themselves in characters, in like actors and actresses who are casted, who are Asian and stuff like that, or if people don't really resonate with that and why. I've always been curious about that. So if you have any thoughts, definitely let me know down in the description box, because you know there are like Vietnamese traditions and stuff that we do, and I still love to do those things. Like even now I'm living on my own, and I notice that I act like more like my parents and what they do in their house. Some of these traditions like have been passed down, or recipes have been passed down by like many generations, and I just think that's like really cool. The next question is, will you be doing more videos in Vietnamese? Yeah, I would love to. I just don't know like what kind of videos I would do, to be honest. My Vietnamese is not like perfect, you know, because I get really nervous like speaking Vietnamese sometimes on the camera, because I ramble a lot and I stutter a lot. So maybe with time maybe it'll become a lot better, and it'll also help me practice my Vietnamese more too. Have you ever been to Vietnam? Yes, I've only gone once though. I was in 2nd grade. I went with my mom for a couple of weeks, and it was honestly a blast. I still remember a couple of things. One of my favorite memories from going to Vietnam is probably when my cousin Ben, he and I were like best buds during my trip, and I remember I was walking him to school, and he bought me this French baguette breakfast sandwich, and all it had was the French baguette, a fried egg, and soy sauce, and I literally thought that was the best thing ever, and so we ate it like every single day that I was there. I would love to go back, especially being older now. How do you stay positive? This is something that I'm also trying to work on, but I think, you know, I've gotten a lot better at it this year. I used to be that person where I would think everything sucked, and sometimes it does suck, and it makes me feel like I'm not doing anything good, or anything that comes good my way is not even that good, you know? And I think I just learned how to take things one step at a time, and to pause and really look around at the things that I do have, and just becoming more thankful for what I have instead of focusing on what I don't have, because sometimes I don't have control over that. I've been going through a couple of things in my personal life with my family and stuff, and you know, losing family members, and it gets really hard to keep your head up sometimes. So in times like that, when I think about the future, I think, well, 5 years from now, I don't want to look back at my life and think, well, I was just miserable that whole time. That's the only thing that's going to keep me going, because if I keep having like negative connotations about everything, every aspect in my life, then I don't know, it really rubs off on people. And I think having positive energy and really spreading that to other people is really helpful. You know, I've had instances where I would, you know, hang out with people that had such negative energy, like I could not hang out with them. I just don't do well with that. So I always ask myself, like, what would you tell your younger self if they were like this upset? How would you make them feel better? And like instantly, like there's a lot of things that are good, you know, more so than bad. I've learned to kind of like let go of the small things. And also, like when there's something that's hard going on in my life, I like to think of it as like a challenge more so than something that just sucks and I'm not going to be able to get out of it, because you will be able to get out of it. I think I've been through a lot in my personal life, especially with self-destruction, anxiety, a lot of traumatic events that have happened, but I wouldn't be the woman I am today. Wow, so it feels so weird to say woman because I'm only 22, but yeah, it kind of feels weird, but it's also very rewarding to know that I'm still standing on both my 2 feet and I'm still here. So that's how I like to think about it. But the last question is, what do you study for? Who do you want to become? I guess I can start with why I wanted to become a teacher. This is something I don't I feel like it's a really big idea, but it's important to think big. So I wanted to get into teaching because, first of all, I really love working with kids. I used to dance for this group called Hype 303, and we would volunteer at these workshops. I taught like this dance workshop with a lot of younger kids, and I really connected with them, and I really built a good relationship with them, and that was when I felt like it was kind of my calling, and hey, maybe I really do want to work with kids. And from there, like an even bigger dream manifested from there, and it was where I really wanted to create a nonprofit organization that serves families and kids who are in elementary school. And that's still a very, very strong dream of mine. And so I wanted to go into teaching because I wanted to get that experience in the classroom and really understand like what kids need right now, what's helpful to them, what's not helpful for them, so that I can kind of build from there. And yeah, that's like my big why for a lot of the things that I do. And I just feel like education is so important. I mean, obviously there are many different issues in the United States about the education system. We can get into that in another video if you want. But I think that there is definitely hope and time for change, and there's no better time than now. I don't really know who I want to become. I think I just have this crazy idea, and I think I want to be like very well-rounded in different aspects of my life and always continuing to grow and learn. And I know that's kind of corny to say, but whatever. Wow, I have been talking your ear off for quite some time now, so I'm going to close this video, but thank you all so much for all of your questions. I loved this. It was really, really fun, and I hope you got to kind of know me a little better. If you want to see another Q&A video, drop your questions in the comments. And subscribe if you're new here, and if you are new here, welcome. But my camera's gonna die right now, so I will definitely talk to you all in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye!